My first pay, I used to make $50 a day, cash. I've always kind of aspired to sell those luxury mansions. I knew that Boomerang had been shopped around for several years with various different agents.
That's an iconic home.
One of the most beautiful homes in Australia, and it was actually the most expensive home sold in Australia for that year. There's a lot of problems in this, Paul. Like, you're not really that covered. I said, I don't give a shit. It's Boomerang. I want to do it. So he's like, okay, just sign it then.
He's a masterpiece.
Never stop chasing, prospecting for new business.
Paul Billa, thank you very much for coming in, mate.
Thank you for having me, Perry.
Appreciate it. First of all, I want to say thank you for the beautiful bottle of tequila.
It's my pleasure.
It's so nice that I don't want to drink it. I really want to leave it there because it looks very good. Don Julio, thank you.
My pleasure. So the solution is we're going to have to do another deal.
Yes.
And then I'll get you another bottle that you can drink.
So, you know what, that's actually a great idea. No,
Good.
thank you. It
Good.
was actually great working with you. Thank you for your help on that. So, 28 years in real estate.
Yes.
Wow.
Long time.
Do you ever go back and like, wow, I've been doing this for 28 years. Do you ever find time to actually think, has been 28 years I've been doing this?
Very rarely. But when I do think back over the years, I can't believe how, you start out in real estate and before you know it, we're sitting here.
Yeah.
So it's like anything in life, really. As you're going through the motions, of course, everything takes time and it's a slow burn. And then you look back and it's like, where did the years go?
Yeah. I want to touch on that. So, patience. So, I struggle with patience.
Don't we all?
Like, I like to go often too hard, and I forget the little things around it. This can be partner.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have a child.
Yep.
And now I'm running a team. And now you need to give attention to a lot of this. How do you find the right balance between manage all of this, which we will go through the details, and still be patient? Like, what do? You meditate? Do you read? What do you do?
I actually don't. I don't meditate. I don't read much. I read the media. I don't really read books. And how do I find the patience? It's just practice and time. And as an agent, most agents I think are pretty, energetic and on the go, and they want everything done now and yesterday.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to take a step back, because what I found over the years is often when you're in that mindset of everything's got to be now and you're in a rush and everything is pressure, you actually come across differently to the clients. And the clients, the buyers and the vendors can feel that kind of desperation in you. And that's not going to help you.
Yeah, it's true. When you're carrying with you all of that, and maybe tension or maybe stress.
That's right.
Or maybe they feel it. A lot of your work is face-to-face. You go to people's houses and do appraisal.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Are you going to be on the ball?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't carry all this stuff with you, that luggage with you, can you?
Absolutely not. When you walk into that house, the only thing that they care about is themselves.
Yeah.
And whatever's going on in your life, regardless of how hard it is, you just need to put all that aside and just focus on being present with the client and doing the best you can for them.
Yeah. And you go there with the mindset like, how can I serve and deliver the best value to these people?
Correct. And when we go in there, we often have a plan, we have a discussion, and if we're not a match, we'll tell them. We'll just tell the vendor, look, we're probably not the best agents for you. If it's not our market, if we're not aligned on price, or if we're not aligned on expectations or processes, we'll tell the vendor or the potential seller exactly how we feel, and everything we do is in the interest of the seller. So our job, we're real estate agents, we're selling agents, we represent vendors, and our main focus and our main goal is to do our best for them. And everyone's got different agendas. Some people want every last dollar from the market, and that's fine. And we recommend a strategy to them. And then we've got people who time might be more important. So I had a call last week from a lady who said, Paul, I don't need every last dollar. I just need my house sold before Christmas. So everyone is different.
Like last week?
Last week, yeah.
So for everyone, today is the 14th of November.
That's right.
And probably think about Christmas, and so you probably got 3 weeks.
3 to 4 weeks, I'd say.
There you go.
It's getting tight, but yeah, we'll get there.
Okay. Wow, do you get a lot of these calls? Like
occasionally, particularly this time of year. I mean, this time of year, you'd know yourself as a buyer's agent. As we're getting closer towards Christmas, people start to think, oh shit, I haven't done what I wanted to do this year.
Yeah.
And a lot of buyers who have been out there looking for months on end and haven't found anything, they're getting a little bit desperate getting towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
And often we'll sell a property that's been sitting around for a long time with no traction, and someone just wants to wrap something up before Christmas. And on the flip side, we often get sellers who have been thinking about selling, and it's getting towards the end of the year. This particular lady who called me, her child just finished HSC. And we had originally discussed going to market in the new year. And she's separating from her partner, from her ex. And she said, Paul, I just want this done as soon as possible. So we got on the market, and we'll get that sold before Christmas.
Yeah, okay. So people have different reasons behind.
Correct.
Of course, everybody want to get the price, but at the same time, they got personal situation that you try to accommodate. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So tell me the start of, because now you are established real estate agent, and now you receive call because you've been doing for a very long time. How was the start? So let's start first. You born in Sydney, born and bred in Sydney?
Born and bred in Sydney, parents from Russian background. So I was born a few months after they arrived. So I made it by a few months.
Right.
Great family life growing up.
Yeah.
It was just my parents and I. I've got 2 younger brothers which came along. They're 7 years younger than me. They're twins. And we had a great life growing up. And my parents did everything they could to support us, and they worked very hard, and they sent us all to private schools.
Nice.
And so, my parents, as a lot of other people that came here without anything, without any money, without any contacts, and for them to kind of do everything that they possibly could to put us in the best position to set us up. Obviously we're very grateful, because my parents came with nothing, just like most parents. But to them it was important to send us to the right schools, to be surrounded by the right people in the right environments. And obviously we're very grateful. Not that I did well at school, but
same thing for me.
I think it's most people in real estate. So
yeah, that's true.
And back then when I got into real estate, there was no internet. Internet was just coming out. There was no real estate and domain. I remember when I first started selling, which was in 2002, so about 23 years ago, real estate and domain had just started to come out, and we used to charge $200 to be on both websites, real estate and domain.
Wow.
Now we're charging $8,000 for the equivalent package, basically, to go on real estate and domain.
$200 to be on
both. It was about $100 for real estate and for domain.
What was the average purchase price, if you can remember, 23 years ago?
My very first sale was $250,000.
In Sydney?
In Sydney.
Eastern suburbs?
Maroubra Beach.
Wow. How good is that?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay. So how old were you when you started in real estate?
So when I was young, I was hanging out with a friend of mine.
Yeah.
We were about 14, 15 years old. And it was a good family friend. The parents were friends with my parents, and we kind of grew up together. And out of all of my parents' friends, these particular people lived in the nicest home and drove the nicest cars. And I was a kid. One day I said to my friend, I said, "What does your dad do?" And he said, "Real estate." And from that moment I said, that's what I'm going to do.
And you were 15?
14 or 15.
Okay. And what did you do? How did you get the first job into?
So I finished school.
Yeah.
straight after I finished school, I went to TAFE the following year,
Yeah.
and I did the real estate course.
Yeah.
It was 1 year full time,
Yeah.
and that was probably, one of the best years of my life. You kind of have no responsibilities. You finish
Yeah.
school. I went to TAFE with a few friends. We all wanted to get into real estate, and it was that year, that was I think 1998, we were doing the course, and we were also looking for a job at the time. And my parents used to have retail stores, clothing stores, and
Yeah.
they had a shop in Newtown.
Yeah.
And they were renting a shop from one of the local real estate agencies, and one of the agencies was looking for a junior to help with leasing, like a letting clerk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was my very first job. It was an office in Newtown. It was called Crystal Real Estate. I think it's still there to this day.
I think there is actually.
Yeah. So I was 18 when I started, and my job was pretty much to go out and show the properties for rent, for lease. And I remember I used to show 10 or 15 properties on a Saturday, for example.
Yeah.
And there was no GPS back then either. So my best friend was the book in the car. You had to try and find the page and look at the map and work out where you're going.
And you get the numbers of people you write on a piece of paper or something?
Of course. But,
Yeah.
but trying to find the locations, because
Yeah.
I lived in the eastern suburbs most of my life, pretty much my whole life.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm working in the inner west in Newtown. It's a completely different market, completely different demographic. The people are different, the properties are different. And from Newtown, we used to service areas all around, so Ashfield and Tempe, and I'd never even heard of these suburbs. And so we had these apartments that we would rent, and I'd have a schedule on a Saturday or whenever it was. I'd have to draw a map and plan my day. And I used to leave the office in the morning with a box full of keys for all of the properties. And I used to just go and show the properties back to back all day.
Nice. And you were a lease agent for how long?
So I started just showing properties for rent and assisting with leasing. And then after about 6 to 9 months, I went into property management, and I was a property manager, and I did that for about 5 years in Newtown. So I stayed at my first office, and then I moved to another office in Newtown.
Yeah.
And my first pay, I used to make $50 a day, cash. So I used to work 6 days, and at the end of the week, I used to get an little envelope with $300 in there for 6 days of work. So that's how I started, and then I got into property management, and I had my own portfolio of managing a couple of hundred properties.
Yeah.
And in looking back in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done it for as long as I did.
Right.
But I had people who were kind of guiding me and advising me. And again, internet was just starting, and you couldn't kind of do a search. What do I do? Where do I go? ChatGPT, how do I become a successful agent? You had to kind of go and figure things out on your own. Yeah. And so I did property management. People used to call, my toilet's leaking, this, all this nonsense. And I don't know how property managers do it. I mean, we've got a property manager in our team who's been a property manager for over 20 years.
Wow.
And now I try and remove myself as much as I can from that part of the business, so that I can focus on what I do.
On selling.
But property managers are a special type of people.
Yeah, it's true. Do you think, because all the established, successful in my eyes, agents, they all have a big background in leasing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I spoke with James Dunn, spoke with another couple of real estate agents. But I believe their foundation builds you a little bit, especially at their age. Or no?
So that's what I was told.
Yeah.
You have to start with property management. No one's going to take you seriously if you come and sell.
Right.
And so I did what I was told. And I didn't really have that much guidance. I had to figure things out for myself.
Right.
And I always wanted to get into sales. Even at this office I was at Newtown, I kept saying to the principal, I said, let me sell. And no, Paul, just stick to what you're doing. We need you as a property manager. So I did, and I stuck by. And then I got married when I was quite young. So I've been with my wife since we were 17.
You're really?
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you've been together. How long you been together?
Or since 17, so
So-
29 years.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
Long time. So we met at, we were at school. We started dating when we were in year 12. And then we dated for, I think it was 5 or 6 years before we got married. And then when we got married, as we were about to get married, I thought, you know what, it's time. I was 23 years old at the time, and somebody knew of a position at an office in Bondi Beach. And I wanted to come to the East. I wanted to work in the East. That's where I kind of grew up. That's where I wanted to be. And so I got an opportunity to work as a sales agent at this established office in Bondi Beach.
Yeah.
And so I went there, and virtually no training. It was like my first day. Here's a desk, here's a phone, figure it out. And so it was very, very hard. The beginning is very, very hard. It was for me. And I think one of my biggest mistakes in my career was I just jumped straight into being a sales agent. I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I didn't work as part of a team. I didn't have an agent that I was working under or a principal.
Really?
Yep.
So that's the phone. That's your desk.
Straight in, and
Oh
off
my
you
God.
go.
No, because now we got all of this training material,
Correct.
coaches, mentors, which is like much easier than before. So what did you do?
So-
you by yourself on a desk with a phone.
What I
Right.
did
Welcome
was-
to Bondi.
Okay, so back then there was a lot of for sale by owners.
Yeah.
A lot of people tried to sell their own homes, right?
Yes.
They thought to themselves, we put an ad in the paper.
Really?
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on. So someone would put an ad in the paper and try and sell their property themselves to save, agents' fees.
Yeah.
And agents' fees, call it 2%. I mean, it's not a huge
Yeah.
amount of money. But there was a lot of people doing it. And so back then, all the properties were advertised on a Saturday in the Sydney Morning Herald. So there were classified ads, pages and pages of classified ads, and all the agents used to advertise their properties. Used to be a little ad, and the more lines you took, the more expensive the ad became. But an average ad was 5 or 6 lines, had the address, the price of the property, contact details, and a brief description of the property. No pictures, and that was it.
That was the ads then.
That was the ads then. Correct. Yeah. No pictures.
know about that.
So most offices back then used to have street frontages with
Yeah.
window displays, and people used to walk around on the streets and window shop and look at all the properties. And those were really the only visuals that people could see.
Yeah.
But in terms of finding a home, I mean, everything was in the classified ads in the Sydney Morning Herald. So I used to buy the paper every Saturday and go straight to the selling section, and you'd run through and you'd see all the ones that are advertised as agents because they'd have a little logo there.
Yeah.
And then there'd be a lot of for sale by owners. So people trying to sell their own homes. And that's how I started. I used to cut out the little ads and I used to stick them in an exercise book, and I had books and books and books of these exercise books with handwritten notes next to each one. Called this one, he told me to get lost. Called this one, said if I've got a buyer, I can introduce them.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't have buyers. I was new. I had nothing.
Yeah.
And I called someone once and they said, yep, you sound like a nice guy, nice kid. I was young. Come and have a look. So I went and had a look, and we listed the apartment. I took my principal at the time. I said, can you try and help me? Actually, no, I listed it on my own. He helped me at the auction.
Right.
I remember now. So I listed this apartment, and the guy said to me, oh, Paul, you're energetic, you're young. I can see you've got, enthusiasm. I'll give you a go.
Yeah.
And so I got this listing. It was a 1-bedroom unit at Bondi Beach.
Yeah.
And we ran a successful campaign. It sold at auction, and it was great. And the very first property that I sold that I mentioned to you, we used to have people a lot more back in the day than now. Everyone kind of knows an agent or looks someone up or contacts them on their mobiles. Back then, a lot of sellers used to walk into offices. And I worked in this, it was quite an established, strong office in the area. And every agent in the team had their day. So let's assume your day was a Wednesday. Any potential sellers that walk through the door that day, that would be your lead. So
Right.
one day I'm sitting in the office upstairs and I get a call from receptionist saying there's someone here who wants to sell an apartment. I race downstairs and it's a guy, he's got a 1-bedroom unit in Maroubra Beach. And he said, I want to sell it. I said, great. And he said, I'm going to give you an open agency agreement. I'm not giving anyone any exclusivity.
Yeah.
I'm going from agent to agent and I'm offering everyone the same thing. Take it or leave it. I'm like, of course, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So signed the agency agreement at the time. And that was when we were just starting to promote properties on the internet. And so we put this apartment on the internet, and one day I got a call from a lady and she said, I'm interested in having a look at this apartment, and we took her through and we sold it within a couple of days. And I turned around and I'm like, holy shit, this is easy, you know?
Yeah.
First sale, I sold it within 2 weeks, I think, of starting in real estate.
Yeah.
But that was kind of, people always say, you know, beginner's luck. And I guess I don't believe in beginner's luck, but I do believe in young agents coming into a business and looking at stock that's kind of been sitting there for a long time and that hasn't been sold, and having new, fresh enthusiasm and servicing those people and bringing buyers through and working it and really selling the property. And we sold that apartment, and I'm a big believer in that now.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And after that, things start to roll.
It takes a long time for things to roll. So for many years, many years, I was relentless. I chased everything. I chased every single private seller.
Yeah.
I was always out and about asking people, do you know anyone who's thinking of selling? Do you know anyone who's thinking of moving?
Yeah.
And I'd follow up everyone, because as an agent, if you don't sell, you don't eat, right?
That's
It's all
right.
commission-based.
Yeah. But you had figured out a system that you need to stick daily in order
Correct.
for you to get
Correct.
the results that you want.
Yeah.
Nice. What do you think? Because, wow, this is actually great. Because if I compare with how easier compare what you had to do 20 years ago to get some business, I'm like, damn. Now, what I think is when things gets easier with the process, they don't build the character. Yeah. Now, do you think if it was a little bit easier, your start, you were where you are right now?
I think, as I said earlier, if my biggest regret is not being an associate or a junior agent under someone. I just kind of got thrown in the deep end and had to figure it out for myself. I believe if I had the opportunity, or if I took the opportunity to work for someone at the time, then my career probably would have been escalated by several years.
Right.
Because the things that took me years to figure out is something that can be taught very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have the luxury of people, you know, saying to me, Paul, follow this process, do this, say this. As I said, a lot of it was trial and error and just figuring things out.
Yeah.
So I was in my first office for about 6 months, and then I met another agent, a principal of another office, also in Bondi, and we built a bit of a relationship. And one day he said to me, Paul, come and work with me, with us in our team. And I did, and so I moved agencies, and I stayed in that agency for about 4 years until I got fired. I'll tell you that story in a second. Funny story. Funny story.
I want to know.
But yeah, I just remembered actually. So every Saturday I used to go through the classified ads and ring all the for sale by owners.
Yeah.
And there was only so many there. There might have been anywhere from half a dozen to a dozen properties any given week that we could chase. And so there's not that many people to chase. And so after I'd finished those calls, I used to then go to the rental section and find all the rentals that are for rent by owner. And I'd call those. And I'd say, I've noticed your ad in the paper, you're advertising your apartment or your home for rent, and I'm just ringing to see if you might consider selling it. And one day, very early on in my career, I got on to this old man, very old man. He answered the phone, hello, and it was a unit in Bondi Road.
Yeah.
For rent. And it was for rent for, I don't know, a couple of $100 a week back then. And I called him and I said, would you consider selling your apartment? And he said to me, Paul, if I sell the apartment, I sell the whole building. I said, okay. Turns out he owned the whole block of 12 units. And he said to me, I'm going overseas, call me in 6 weeks. I said, okay, damn, 6 weeks is a long time.
Yeah.
And so I put it in my diary to call in 6 weeks, and I didn't need to put it in my diary because every day I kept thinking about it. Then when it got to the 6 weeks, I called him straight away, and he says, okay, come over. So I went and met this guy, and he was in his 90s at the time. And he said, I own the whole building. If I'm going to sell, I sell the whole building. I said, great, let's sell the whole building. And he said, okay. And I listed it on the spot.
The whole building, or you sold the unit one by one?
Whole building. So it wasn't strated.
Yeah.
It was a block of 12 units, all in one line.
Right.
And we listed the whole building to go to market. It was supposed to go to auction. And about a week before the scheduled auction, we sold it. We sold it for 3.6 million, and the commission was 72,000.
Which back then
Was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Especially for a young guy. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, what an industry.
Yeah.
How good is this?
Yeah.
And looking back, I think it's moments like that kind of keep you going.
Yeah.
In the times when things are tough.
Yeah.
And things are tough. This is a very tough industry. There are people that the public perception of real estate agents is we don't have a great reputation. We drive around in fancy cars, wearing fancy suits, making all this money, but they don't know what goes into what we do on a daily basis, and the grind and the hustle and the hard work that takes to get to a point in your career.
Yeah. I love that. So you sold the block for these gentlemen.
Yeah. And the vendor was in his 90s, and the gentleman who bought the property was also in his 90s. And it was a 6-week settlement, 42 days. And for 42 days, I'm praying every day, please don't die, just to get to settlement. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was back then, because now we got a PEXA, before vendors and buyers, they would meet at the bank. Is that right?
Correct.
Wow. You had to go there as an agent as well?
No. So I attended 2 settlements in my whole career.
Right.
It wasn't the bank, it was just office in the city where they did the settlements.
Legal.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so good. Okay. Tell me about the story when you got fired. What?
Okay. So I was working in this Bondi office.
Yeah.
All right. They had an office in Bondi Junction and in Bondi Beach.
Yeah.
And I missed out on a listing one day. It was a house in Double Bay. I missed out on this listing. And I thought to myself, oh, that's really what I want to sell. I want to sell luxury homes. I want to sell the bigger properties. And I felt that I couldn't do it from Bondi. I had to be in Double Bay. And I went for an interview at this office in Double Bay, very successful office in Double Bay. And my car was parked at the front of the office. And when I came back to my office, the principal called me into his office and he said, Paul, I know you're leaving. And I said, what do you mean? Anyway, he knew. He just had a sixth sense about these things. Right. And he saw my car in Double Bay and he knew I was thinking of leaving. I hadn't secured anything yet. And he said, I know you're leaving and we've shut everything down. Your email is down. Everything is down. You can't do anything. You're basically shut out of the system. See you later. And I left. I thought, oh my God, what's just happened? Anyway, fortunately, I did get the job in Double Bay and kind of the rest is history. And that was in 2005.
Oh, you lost all your database?
I lost everything, yeah.
Damn.
Lost everything. So that was 2005.
Well, people don't know, losing your database is losing your business.
Pretty much.
Like starting everything from scratch. But wow.
I've got a slightly different view on database at the moment to what I did then. But back then, it was a big thing. You know, I'd worked for however many years to get to this point, and I was starting to do okay, and I wanted to move on to the next big thing in my life, and all of a sudden, see you later.
Yeah.
And that was in 2005. And then from there, I moved to an office in Double Bay, and I'd worked there for however many years, and it was great. And, you know, I started to grow my profile as an agent, and the internet was more prominent then, and we used to do a lot of marketing in the Wentworth Courier as well as other magazines and media outlets.
Yeah.
And so my business as an agent kind of started to grow. I was never a superstar agent. I was just an average agent doing okay in an office full of amazing agents, some of the top performers in the country at the time. And I was watching them and kind of trying to do what they do and still trying to figure things out. Again, I had never to this point worked for someone. It was always for myself. But I had learnt enough to be confident in my own abilities to go and list and sell and run the whole process. And so I did that for about 10 years. And then 2011, I think it was, where I joined the office where I was before I opened my office.
Right.
And I was there for 4 years, and I was somewhat of a partner there. And as things kind of evolved and I evolved as a person and as an agent, and things changed and grew, and my personal business grew and my personal brand grew, I just always wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to have my branding. I wanted to do things how I wanted to do them. I remember being at this office before where I am now. Every single time we wanted to do something, every time a decision needed to be made, everyone used to sit down and we used to have meetings and meetings and meetings, and it used to drag on for weeks and weeks. And I'm like, this is just such a waste of time. We're getting nowhere. We're not making the changes we're talking about. We're just, losing time. And I also wanted to have my own brand. My brand today is a big part of what drives me. So it's my name on the door. It's my business. It's what I've built. And that's a big driving factor for me. And everyone has different things that drive them.
Yeah.
For me, that was a big thing. And so ultimately I opened my own agency.
Yeah. One step back before you start your own thing. Were you already training other people in your team then?
I was training juniors.
Right.
Juniors. So particularly in the most recent office before I opened mine, but even previous to that, I was training juniors.
Yeah.
I mean, there were people with a hell of a lot more experience than me, who knew much more than me, who were much better at things than me. And my training was just being surrounded by them, listening to their conversations, watching them as they speak to people, attending appraisals and listing presentations with some of the guys. If I felt I couldn't get this particular listing, but it was a substantial property, I used to take another agent with me, and I used to just watch them and mirror them and
I'll learn from them.
And learn from them.
Nice. Have you ever thought about, all right, this is not for, I want to quit. Like, this is getting hard.
Probably every week. Probably every week for the last 28 years.
Because you went through a lot.
A lot.
Do you know what I mean? And of course, when you have people around you, they're probably not in the industry, they don't really understand it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Especially not real estate practitioners. And this can be family, and this can be partners, and this can be best friends. Like, what kept you ignoring and said, I need to focus on my path?
So I'm pretty committed. If I decide I'm going to do something, I'll generally see it through. And there's been a lot of times over the years, there's been actually years at a time where I've started to question, what the hell am I doing? Because real estate, to me, is 80% mindset. Right? If your mind's not in the right place, you're just not going to succeed. No matter how good you are, no matter how hard you work, you need to be in the right mindset. I remember when my daughter was born, she's 17, she'll be 18 soon. She's actually on schoolies now.
Yeah.
When she was first born, we had been married for a few years. We had bought our first property. We had a mortgage. I was making very little money. My wife was making very little money. And we used to get paid on alternating weeks. So we used to get paid fortnightly. 1 week I'd get paid, then the next week she'd get paid. And every time one of us would get paid, we'd use that money to essentially cover that week's expenses. There was no money left over. There were no luxuries. Yeah. And so, this is after a few years of trying, of being in real estate, of making the odd sale here and there, making a little bit of commission, but still it was very hard going. And I remember so clearly, my daughter was I don't know, a few months old, and I wanted to buy her something, and I went to a shop, and I saw these little toys for a kid for the bath, I think it was, and it was like $15, and I'm like, I didn't have $15 or whatever it was at the time. And that was one of the moments in my life where I thought, okay, like something's got to change. I've got a family now, and I really need to build up my skill set, get better at what I'm doing, and, do something with this.
So you literally build your career while you have family and kids. It's not like you build it, now I'm going to have kids, because that's what I'm kind of doing. Do you think that push you more?
Yes.
Going back home?
100%. Of course. So kids are everything, right? And now everything we do, I guess, is for our kids. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like we enjoy the lifestyle that we live now. We have the luxury of being able to go on holidays and doing what we want and buying what we want. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we kind of work for the next generation. And I guess that's our European background as well. I was talking to someone yesterday, very wealthy Australian family, and the son, who I know is probably early 40s, his father made a lot of money. Yeah. And they just sold their home. And I thought, okay, well, they sold their house for almost over 15 million. And I thought, okay, the next step, they're going to spend 20, 30, 40 million on the next home. But no, they're going to spend the same. And I was talking to a common friend, someone who knows them and who I know. And I said to him, are these people not like loaded? Why are they kind of going backwards? And the response was, not to say that 15 million is not a lot of money, but the response was, the parents don't support the kids. The kids basically had to make it all on their own. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what's the point, right? We work so hard, and I've heard a lot of this over the years, where some parents do everything for the next generation. They give everything to them. Yeah. A lot of the people in our marketplace, a lot of the grandparents pay for the grandchildren's school fees. And then you get people like this where the parents don't help their kids, and they expect the children to go and make it on their own just like they did. And of course, when they die, the kids will get everything. But, when they die and the kids are 60 years old, for example, what's the point, right? You want to give them things that they can enjoy now. Our kids watch us, my wife and I, and they see how hard we work. And, so work ethic is kind of instilled in them just from watching us. And they know how hard we work, and they're actually very hard workers as well, both my kids, in their own right, doing what they do. My daughter's a singer. She's very passionate about it. She just finished her HSC. But, she works her butt off to have the success that she's having now.
Yeah, so installing that habit since a young age.
Yeah.
Which leads me to the next question, which is time management, actually. Now, I have a 4-month-old.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
Beautiful.
Which, I got a lot of questions on them, mate. I need your help here. I'm loving it, don't get me wrong. The first question that I have regards family, business, and installing good habits. First one is, you started your own business while having kids. So how do you manage your time? I believe now the business is more established. You hired few people. But how was the start while you had kids?
Very, very hard. We started the business in 2015. Yeah. My daughter was born in 2007, so she was 8 at the time. And my son was born in 2013. So he was 2 going on 3. And when we started our own business, that was kind of the crazy hours. I remember my first listing, we didn't have a team, and we listed the very first property under the new agency, and all the systems and all the programs and all the marketing that we do, it's called Campaign Track, that designs our boards and brochures. I was doing it all. So I went to the photo shoot, had the videos done, had the floor plan done, and I remember I was in the office till about 2 o'clock in the morning one night, trying to work all this out, how to create the board, how to do the brochures, and I was doing it all myself.
You were doing it yourself?
Myself.
Oh my God.
I had no idea. And so I had to figure all this out. And so work-life balance, I've never been great at that. it kind of all blends into one. So people often ask me, what hours do you work? And my response is, if I'm awake, I'm working, right? Because I don't need to be in the office. I actually don't spend much time in the office at all.
Yeah.
The more I'm out of the office, the more productive I am. And so from the moment I wake up, the first thing I do is check my phone.
Yeah.
And the last thing I do before I go to bed is check my phone. And so 18 hours a day, I'm on.
Yeah.
Answering phone calls, emails, text messages, whatever. I probably send 500 messages a day. I haven't counted, but I receive hundreds of email inquiries and text messages and everything. Obviously, I don't respond to all the inquiries myself, but personally, I'd probably send 500 messages a day if I had to count through everything. And so I guess there is no balance.
Yeah.
It's not work-life balance. It's just life.
Yeah.
This is the path I've chosen.
Yeah.
And this is what it takes to be an agent.
Yeah.
And I just do it.
Yeah.
Of course, kids have things on, and I've never missed one of my daughter's performances or one of my son's sporting events. I try and be at everything. And it's just a case of just making time. I mean, we've got appointments at 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. Sometimes I come home at 11 o'clock at night.
9 o'clock at night,
you
got appraisal.
Yeah. So by the time I come home, my kids go to bed late, so I'll still see them. But growing up, when they were little, of course, I wanted to spend a lot of time with them. I didn't want to miss the special moments. I used to try and come home at a reasonable hour. But it was always just everything blends into one. It's life, right? So we have holidays. We have great holidays. We spend time together, and you just try and make time. And this is one of the reasons why I do love what we do, because we have the flexibility. I don't have someone standing over my head asking me where I am, why I'm not in the office at 9 o'clock, why I'm out the door at 5. I'm hardly ever in the office. And so if I'm out and about working, I do a lot of work in my car between appointments. I'll answer phone calls, do what needs to be done, and it kind of all just blends in. But fortunately, we can actually take time out if we need to do something. So, for example, if I know my daughter's got a performance at 4 p.m. today, I'll work around it. So I'll work up until then. I'll go and watch her, and then from 6 o'clock onwards, I'm back to my appointments and doing what I need to do.
Yeah. Okay. And your wife work with you now?
Yes.
Okay. And she, since you started your own business?
So my wife is, I always say, besides my family, parents and brothers, my wife's the only thing that's been in my life longer than real estate. Because we started dating in year 12 when we were still at school. And straight after, that's when I got into real estate. So she's been with me for the whole journey. And I guess, thankfully, because a lot of people wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
And, it's so time consuming, but she knows, she understands. Like we go out for dinner, we go out with friends, I get calls, I get messages, I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
And she
knows.
I assume she's not a fan of it.
Yeah.
But she knows. She knows what it takes. Now, she has a corporate background and she did very, very well. She was very successful in her job, and we got to a point when I was at my previous agency where things, didn't feel quite right. And one day I called her. I said, "Listen, I think it's time to go and do our own thing." And we had a phone call. I remember I was at Westfield Bonner Junction when I was on the phone to her. And I remember it clearly. We were talking about it, and we were kind of working out roughly how much money do we need to set up and how much money roughly do we need to make so that at the end of the day, we're making similar-ish to what I've been making as an agent. Because by that point, I was making reasonable money.
Yeah.
And so we kind of worked it out, and we said, okay, we'll rent a space and it'll be this much, and we'll have to buy all the machines and all the equipment and all the subscriptions, and we're going to need to write X amount to kind of make it work. Do you know Tom Panos?
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
So Tom's a friend of mine. I've known him forever. The first training session I went to him was 2002, so 23 years ago. That's how long I've known him. And I had a coffee with Tom, and I said, "Tom, I'm thinking of doing this." And he said to me, "Paul, have you got an office?" I said, "Yep, it's over there." He goes, "Have you got a brand?" I go, "Yep, this is the brand." "Have you got this?" "Yep." He goes, "Okay, so you're doing this?" I said, "Yes, I'm doing it." He said, "Right, let's work out how much you need to make.
Yeah.
And he wrote down, he asked the waitress at this cafe for a little piece of paper, and he wrote down, you need to make X amount of sales at this much money to make this much commission, and you need to write approximately this much to kind of be in a similar position to what you're in now.
Yeah.
And that was my goal. That was not to go backwards, right? So first year in real estate, all these overheads, all these commitments, but my goal was pretty much don't be in a worse position as I was before. And so first year in the business, and worked our asses off, all day, every day, all night, all day. And we did okay. And we actually did much better than what we had planned, and what we far exceeded our goals.
Year one.
Wow. And
your wife was in your business now.
My wife joined the business probably, when was it? She joined the business about a year later.
Right.
About a year later. So it got to a point where I actually said to my wife, I said, you're making good money now, however much it was at the time. And I said, I just feel that if you joined our business, we could expand, significantly.
Yeah.
And it would offset what you're earning now. And so she said, okay. And she didn't love it at first. I got to say, she's not a big fan of what she's doing now. Like it's hard. It's hard work, right? And she's very good at what she does. And we all work very hard, but we've got different roles. And so I kind of feel a bit sorry for her, because I'm the one running around, meeting people, looking at beautiful homes. And she's in the office doing all the admin, accounting, all the marketing back end, supporting the team, growing the business, managing the people. So all that stuff that I'm not good at. So I've tried to really eliminate everything that I'm not good at and outsource. And we're at a point now where we've got an amazing back-end support team. And when we meet with new agents or assistants or associates who want to join the business, I always say to them, I say, if you're not going to make it in our business, you're probably not going to make it, because we have all the support in the world. Yeah. The agents, all they need to do is go and list the property, bring the agency going back to the office. The girls will take care of everything. They'll book the photos, they'll create all the marketing, and then go and sell the property. Nice. That's all you need to focus on.
What's the quality that you look for? Of course, let's say you want another good agent working in your business. What would you say? What are you looking for?
Work ethic.
That's it.
100%. That's the first and foremost, because skills can be taught.
Yeah.
Skills can be taught, and unfortunately, it is impossible to know what you're getting until you actually put them on. And we've had a lot of people that have come on, and the thing is, this generation, the young guys and girls these days, they're very good at interviewing. They kind of know what to say.
They are trained. They're so true.
And so the amount of meetings where I've sat down with a young person who wants to get into real estate, or who has had a bit of experience and wants to kind of go to the next level, and I say, what do you want to do? What are your dreams? What's this? Oh, we just want to come in. We're going to make 100 calls a day, and I'm going to be the next this and the next that, and I'm going to be the best. And they talk themselves up, and I love to see the passion and the enthusiasm, but you just don't know. And we've had a lot of young people come into the business, and can I swear?
Yes, you can.
So, after enough people have told them to fuck off, eventually they're like, I can't do this anymore. And we've all had it, right? We've all made the calls. We've all been told to get lost and don't call me again, and you agents and you this and this. It's not nice. It's not a nice feeling.
Yeah.
And the ones who are resilient and can keep going and going and going regardless of what they're told, they're the ones that are going to succeed ultimately. Yeah. Skill set is a massive part of it, but skills can be taught. Yeah. But the hustle...
So I agree with that. It's the same thing when we trained. So all the guys that we have right now, majority of them, they kind of fresh, between 20 to 25. Yeah, we got people 35, 45, 50, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is a lot of people, maybe they are a little bit more experienced.
Mm-hmm.
or maybe previous real estate agents, and I'll tell you what happened based on experience. Usually, the one that used to be real estate, they want to become a buyer's agent, they are not going to be good buyer's agent. If you are not a good real estate agent, you will not be a good buyer's agent based of all the interviews we are doing in our business. That's a fact. I so agree with you there. Student mentality, work ethic. The rest
can be taught. Having said that, I know a few buyer's agents who have done very, very well who were not very good real estate agents.
There you go.
There's a few.
Yeah.
And I also believe some people are actually more suited to being a buyer's agent than a selling agent. I think it's a different type of skill set.
Yeah.
And, you get caught up in it. And I've seen over the years, I've actually seen some real estate agents who weren't very good agents have switched over to being a buyer's agent and have done very, very well. And then it makes you think, oh, well, if that person can do it, imagine how good I could do.
Yeah.
And, of course, you think, how can I do this? And what if I became a buyer's agent? But I genuinely believe you just got to stick to what you're doing and be the best that you can at what you do.
I agree. There is a book talking about, it's called Stickability, which is the ability to stick into something, especially now you get so much distractions.
Yep.
I do this, the new thing, the Bitcoin, all these short-term things instead of sticking through the good times and the bad times.
And the reality is you don't know. We don't know. Maybe I would have been better at something else. Maybe you would have been better at something else. But this is the path that we have chosen, and we kind of owe it to ourselves and the people around us to do everything we can to make a success of it.
Yeah. Mate, I love it. Thank you for this. Schedule. Habits. So I believe now your habits as an established real estate agent is different compared through the habits where you start to... Now I believe a majority of people you speak to, they know you already.
Correct.
At the start of your career,
nobody knew
90% didn't know who you are.
That's right.
Let's give some tips. Someone starting as a buyer's agent, starting as a real estate agent. And after you tell me what's the schedule now, how has been evolved. So let's start with a new Paul Biller. Try to get into the real estate game.
Okay,
please.
so
what was the daily schedule then?
Paul Biller today would have a very different schedule to Paul Biller when he started in real estate.
Yeah.
So today we have the benefit of the internet, social media. There's a lot of information out there and it's all very accessible. And so you can literally go and watch tutorials online and listen to great speakers like Tom Panos, like your interviews, your podcast, and you learn, right? It's much easier to learn now because everything is so accessible. And so I guess as a new agent, it's all about getting yourself out there, making the connections, making the calls, creating rapport with potential sellers for us and buyers for you. And it kind of starts with, agents come in, okay, I've got a target of 100 calls a day. I never did 100 calls a day. I think if you set a target of 20 to 30 connects a day, I think you're doing well. If you can make 20 to 30 connects a day, every single day, that's 100 to 150 quality phone calls in a week.
Yeah.
Then you will, if you continuously do that, and I always say to the young guys, and I'm actually a bit guilty of this myself, as you become a better agent and you become more successful and obviously you become busier, you drop the ball with chasing new business. And so that's a very big challenge for a lot of agents as they progress through their careers.
Yeah.
They'll spend, January, they'll come into the office with no stock, they'll work and work and work, they'll list half a dozen properties for a February or March campaign, they'll stop chasing. They'll go and focus on selling those 5 or 6 properties, they'll sell them, and then they're back to square one. And it's like, what now? And real estate is like a roller coaster and it's never ending. And the key or the secret to my tips is to never stop chasing, prospecting for new business. Yeah. Because that's where you're going to come unstuck.
There you go. Never stop chasing.
Never stop chasing. Now, obviously, my chasing now is very different to what it was back in the day. So ideal schedule, I never had an ideal schedule. I think I'm slightly different. I don't have a routine where I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and train till 6 and everything is set. Every day kind of is different and it evolves. And I look at my diary first thing in the morning, and most days I'm back to back from 9 a.m. till 6, 7 p.m., whatever it is. And then people will call me throughout the day and I'll have more appointments. So most of my days I'm out, back-to-back appointments. If I've got a gap of half an hour or so, I'll usually spend that time making calls, returning emails, whatever it might be. So it's non-stop. As a new agent starting out, the ideal day essentially would be to come into your office, wherever you're working, spend the morning calling. So 8 a.m. till, say, midday, 3 to 4 hours of solid calling. And that's not easy to do. I don't know how many people are doing it, but to sit down and make 3 hours of calls or 4 hours of calls, agents take breaks. They'll spend half an hour making calls and they'll go and take a 45-minute break and have a coffee and talk to their mates, and they'll come back and make another few calls and then take another hour break. But the ones who diligently make the calls and spend, 3 to 4 hours in the morning, I guess if I had to advise someone on an ideal day as being an agent, that would be come into the office, make your calls in the morning and set up your appointments for the afternoon. So a perfect day for a new agent would be cold calls in the morning from, say, 8 to 12, and then schedule appointments 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m. And if you're doing that every single day, if you're booking 3 appraisals a day, then that's 15 appraisals a week, 60 appraisals a month. It's a lot. And you will succeed. This is a numbers game. And what I started to realize a few years ago is I don't track my calls. I don't track a lot of things, but I started to track my appraisals. And I knew if I was appraising about 300 properties a year, I was okay. I'd be okay and I'd be set to hit my targets. And if I do 400 a year, obviously I'd exceed my target. But it was about 300 appraisals a year to get to a certain amount.
That's what you're doing right now?
Yeah.
300
About 300. Yeah, at the end of last year, 2024, every time I do an appraisal, I just type in the address in my phone. I say where the lead came from, an approximate price and who the person is, just so I can keep track of it. And so at the end of last year, I actually counted how many, and there was, 300 and something appraisals for the year.
Wow.
So I know I need to do about 300 appraisals a year.
Would you say out of 300 you get 100?
Our sales volume is very different.
Yeah.
So there are agents out there who are doing 100, 200 transactions a year. We're not.
Yeah.
Personally, I would do about 50 to 60 transactions, and then the team would do however many they do. Obviously, our price point is quite high.
Yeah.
And
which leads me to the next question, but yes, please.
And also, in our marketplace where I operate, there's very few agents who are doing a lot of volume. And the ones who are doing a lot of volume are generally selling lower priced properties.
Yeah.
I actually don't know any agents who's doing huge volume at the high-end prices.
At that purchase price.
Correct.
Are you okay to share what's the average purchase price that you personally do?
So my average, I actually don't know exactly. I'd say it's probably around 8 million.
8 million purchase price average.
Yeah.
50 to 60 a year.
Yeah.
You guys do the math, which is impressive. You just sold something around 80 recently?
Yes.
Elizabeth Bay?
Yeah, we just settled.
That's a great property.
Yeah. So
I would love to see that. I haven't seen that property.
Oh, it's an incredible property. It's called Boomerang in Elizabeth Bay. It's one of Sydney's most iconic homes.
That's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
You sell some I bought from you as well. This is more for people want to move to the higher purchase price, because a lot of agents, even been doing for quite a bit, they struggle to move into the higher purchase price.
Yeah.
What would you say has been changing? You've been doing for now, you're established, but you've been moving to a higher purchase price for few years now.
Correct.
Few, I don't know, probably 10 years plus.
Approximately.
What would you say you've been doing differently of someone trying to get to the higher purchase price? What's the game is all about? Different crowd, different ways. What's the tip?
So there are very successful agents who have been in real estate as long as I have and others longer than I have.
Yeah.
And they're still selling lower priced properties.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's their marketplace. That's what they choose to specialize in. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
When I got into real estate and I came into Double Bay, and you've seen some of the homes that we sell, they're
Yes.
pretty impressive.
Yes.
And I've always kind of aspired to sell those luxury mansions, and there's not that many of them, and there's not that many that trade in any given year. And so to kind of get to a point where you're consistently listing and selling that caliber of property takes a long time.
Yeah.
But that was kind of a path that I decided to take a number of years ago. And there's a lot of hard work involved. There's a little bit of luck involved. I do believe in a little bit of luck.
Yeah.
You create your own luck. But I'll tell you a funny story. Years and years ago, I had a conjunction with another agent.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can mention names or not.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Ken Jacobs.
Right.
Have you know
Yeah.
Ken?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ken is a lovely guy, and someone who I've looked up to for many years. He's been very successful, has sold the most expensive homes in the country. And about 15 years ago, I was fortunate enough to do a conjunction with him. And back then, we sold this penthouse together in Double Bay. It sold for about $3.5 million back then. And working with Ken had just sold a home. I think he sold a lane at the time for about $71 million or something.
Yeah.
And after the inspection, I said, I got to run. Ken, I got to get to my next inspection. And I used to do martial arts. And so one of the guys at the martial arts school I used to train at said to me, Paul, can you sell my apartment? It was a 1-bedroom or something in Waterloo. It was like, I don't know, 400,000 or something. And I said to Ken, I got to run to my next opening. He goes, where's your open? I said, it's in Waterloo. He said, how much is it? I said, it's about 400,000. And he said to me, is that the sale price or your commission? And that kind of changed my perspective on a lot of things. Yeah. I thought to myself, holy shit, this guy's actually making commissions as much as the properties that I'm selling.
Yeah.
And he kind of said to me, Paul, if this is what you want to do, just go and do it. I thought, okay. And so, we kind of started to chase larger homes. And we didn't get them all, obviously. We didn't get a lot of them.
Yeah.
But then you get an opportunity. You list one.
Yeah.
And of course, when you list a significant home, you put everything behind it because firstly, it's the prestige of the listing. Then it's good for your profile. It's good for your brand. And you want to sell it. You don't want to get it, go through all this work and then not sell it. So obviously you're putting everything into this particular listing and working your ass off, and you've got your whole team behind you. And so we sold one, and then we listed another, and we sold that one. And it just kind of evolved and grew. And it's now we're at a point where we've been doing it for several years now, quite a few years. And we're kind of known as the agents that sell these homes. And so my schedule, my days have changed very much from chasing to now my days are full of appraisals, listing presentations, buyer appointments, negotiating, putting a deal together. That's pretty much all I do now.
That's what you focus on. You, if come across your agency a lower purchase price, do you get the team to take care of it, or you are at the stage like, all right, I just want to focus on this purchase price?
So to me, every single listing is important. Whether it's $1 million or 80 million, they're all equally important because to that particular owner, it's all the same, right? To this guy, $1 million is equally as important as 100 million to the next guy. And I'm a big believer in that. And so we put everything into every listing. Now, I've got a team now, and I've got the luxury of kind of being able to hand out stuff that I don't want to personally work on and feel that I'm not the best person for it because it's not really my market. Having said that, we still do it. I have a lovely family who I've been selling properties for years. They give me 2 to 3 properties a year for the last 15 or so years. And so at the time when I needed every listing, they were a blessing. And now they called me a couple of months ago and said, Paul, we've got an apartment we want to sell in Paddington and we want you to sell it. And please, we want you to be the agent. We want you to be on the marketing. We want you to run the campaign. Of course, I'm going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Lovely clients. They mean a lot to me, and we did everything. And I had it.
Yeah.
I had my team helping me, but I was at every inspection. I was doing the negotiations. I put the deal together. We sold. It was a 1-bedroom unit. We sold it for $920,000 only a few months ago.
Yeah.
Then we sold a large home in Vaucluse a few months ago for $20,500,000, $20.5 million. And the vendor, lovely couple, referred me to their next door neighbor. And so the next door neighbor invited me to look at his house. And he said, Paul, I'm not selling my house, but I've got this apartment I want to sell in Rose Bay. And the apartment we sold it for 1.825. And he said to me, Paul, if you're not the right agent for this, please don't take it on, because if you stuff this up, I'm not going to consider you for my house in the future. So you'd be doing yourself more harm than good if you take it on and don't get me the right result. Then I'll probably consider other agents when it's time to sell my house.
Yeah.
I said, no, I'll do it. Listed the property, came back to the office, said to him, holy shit, what am I, got this apartment, I don't have buyers for this. What are we going to do? Anyway, we did everything we could. Obviously, we took it to market, ran a great campaign, and we sold it. It was a really good price. And I was more relieved than the excitement you get from making a sale. So obviously, we make commissions off properties that we sell for 30, 40 million. They're quite exciting. And then you're selling something for 1.5 million. Of course, it all adds up, but it's not the same. And so when I got to the end of that process, I'm like, oh my God, we finally sold this property. And I called the vendor and I said, congratulations, it's sold. And I said, holy shit, like you made me nervous there for a while. I thought I really have to get this done for you. And we did. So we do what we need to do. But I can count on one hand how many listings or how many leads were given to me as an agent throughout my career until I opened my own business. We are all for helping our team. So the amount of leads we give, the amount of listings we hand out, it's crazy. If other agents heard about it, they would think, what the hell's going on? Because we do hand out a lot. So if a management wants to sell, I'd give it to a team, unless the owner wants me specifically. Then often I'll get called, people who I know, people who have been referred to me. I want to sell an apartment or this property. And if I don't feel I'm the best agent for them, I'll actually say to them, I'll say, look, I'll oversee everything, I'll assist with negotiations, but this agent's going to be your lead man. He's better for the job than I am because he sold more at this price point than I have.
Nice. And they appreciate that.
Of course. Well, I would kill for a listing when I was an agent. And, from...
No, not much of someone in your team, the vendor, appreciate the honesty to say.
Of course, absolutely. Everyone appreciates it. So the vendor appreciates it because I've said to them, look, yes, we'd love to do it. We'll do a great job for you. But I don't believe that personally I'm the right agent for you. But this person in my team has sold half a dozen similar properties recently. They've got the database, they've got the buyers, they know how to handle it. Let's go.
Nice.
And so, I'll be on the marketing with them, not as lead agent, maybe second or third. So I'll see the inquiries that are coming in. Obviously, I communicate with the agent and with the vendor. We're selling an apartment now, someone who I know personally, 1-bedroom apartment in Moore Park Gardens in Redfern. It's not my marketplace. I wouldn't be the right person to stand at the door. But we've got someone who services that area. He's very good at what he does, and he's selling that apartment.
So tell me one crazy story, Paul, that happened to you because you say never stop chasing. And I know you sold a big, big home, so please tell me.
So we had an apartment that we were selling in Point Piper.
Yeah.
In Wolseley Road.
Yes.
Now, that apartment was on the market for a long time before us.
Yeah.
And that apartment is still on the market today. It's literally been on the market for years. It's gone through several different agents, and we were one of the agents at the time. And we went and looked at this apartment, and the vendor said, I want 20 million, I'm not negotiable, purely price driven, and I'm not paying for marketing. If you want the listing, you pay for marketing. Marketing is about 10 to 15,000, depending on what we do. And at the time, I thought to myself, okay, well, it's going to be a tough one. It's not worth 20 million. I thought it was worth about 16 million at the time. And also, we're going to have to spend our money, right? So most of the marketing is vendor paid advertising.
Yeah.
In this case, the vendor said, if you want the listing, you can have it. I'm not paying any more marketing. It's on you. And so I made the decision. I thought, okay, I'm going to spend $10,000 or $15,000. We're going to have this property online. It's going to look great. We have an opportunity to potentially sell it and make a fee, which is about $400,000, a pretty good fee.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, it's worth the risk. It wasn't the first time I've done it. And in the past, we've taken these risks and they've been successful. We've sold the property or something's happened and it's been worthwhile. So we took this on. And we had on the market. One day I was in the office. It was quite late. It was about 8:30 at night. And Ben, my associate, was in the office at the same time. And we received an email inquiry from a potential buyer for this apartment in Point Piper. Ben gets on the phone to him straight away, rings him as soon as the inquiry comes in. What are you looking for? Had a brief chat to him and hangs up. And then he says to me, Paul, this particular buyer actually wants to buy a house, not an apartment. And I don't know why. I really couldn't tell you, but I knew that Boomerang had been shopped around for several years with various different agents, about 3 or 4 years. And I just thought to myself, you know what, let's just call the owner and see if he'd still consider selling. So I called the owner, who's a very, very successful businessman, one of the richest men in Australia, and he lives in Melbourne. And
It's an iconic home, isn't it?
Yes. And so I called him and no answer. I called him that night and I sent him a text message. I said, it's Paul Biller, just ringing to see if you might consider selling Boomerang. And I sent the Boomerang emoji. No call back. Anyway, I'd forgotten about it. About 3 weeks went by and all of a sudden he's calling me. I'm like, holy shit. So I pick up the phone, and he goes, who's this? And I said, it's Paul Biller, just ringing to see if you might consider selling Boomerang. And the response was, call Brenda. Hangs up on me. I said, okay, who the hell's Brenda? This is a massive organization with thousands of employees. Anyway, I went digging and I finally found Brenda. I called Brenda. Brenda had no idea. She had no idea who I was, that I'd even spoken to this gentleman before. And she said, someone will call you. I said, okay, fine. Hang up the phone. Again, I forgot about it. Weeks went by. And then I get a phone call one day out of the blue saying, I'm the son of the owner. And basically, he says, why are you calling? I said, look, I've got someone, I think Boomerang might work for them. Is there any chance we can show them through? And the response was, Paul, you got one effing opportunity. If you stuff this up, we're done. I said, okay. I just wanted to see the house. I'd never seen Boomerang. I'd heard about it. And it's an iconic home, one of the most beautiful homes in Australia. I just wanted to see it. And so we organised an appointment. He organised it with the housekeeper at the time. And we went and looked at Boomerang. And we walked around, buyers, not locals.
Yeah.
And they just said, yes, nice. And we thought, okay, cool, see you later, all the best. And that was it. I thought I wouldn't hear from them again. Sure enough, the next day, I get a phone call, Paul, can we have coffee? Went and had a coffee. And they said to me, we like the house and we want to make an offer. I said, okay, you can make an offer, but this is the price. That's where they're going to sell. $1 below, they're not going to sell. We spent several weeks negotiating. Price was agreed, terms, fixtures, finishes. So basically a lot of the furniture remained in the home. And it took weeks, and it was a very different transaction to most transactions in the sense that we didn't have that much control. We did our best we obviously found a buyer, we negotiated the deal, but from that point, when it came to contracts, we were kind of left out of a lot of the stuff. And I'm ringing vendors and lawyers and no one's really saying anything, but in the meantime, contracts are being prepared. And then one day a contract was prepared, issued to the buyers, and from the day we showed them until the day we exchanged was about 3 months. It was a long time.
Wow.
And over that time, it kind of started with, okay, let's look at this beautiful home. Then it got to, okay, they could be interested. I'm not going to get excited. This is a very long shot. And then it progressed until the end. I'm like, holy shit, this is about to happen. And at that point, that's when you have the sleepless nights.
Yeah.
The last few days leading up to exchange, that's when you have the sleepless nights because, you know, as I said earlier, you get to a point where not every deal is that important and you're not going to lose sleep over losing a listing or a sale.
Yeah,
But in this case, when it's such an iconic home, and it was actually the most expensive home sold in Australia for that year,
Yeah.
it was a big deal and I really wanted this to happen. And so we just kept working and getting closer and closer and closer. And then eventually it happened.
You see, that's another message. They're like, stick to it until the end.
And create the opportunities.
Yeah.
If I didn't make that call.
3 months from the contract received to getting
exchange.
reviewed to exchange. You must have a lot of clothes in there.
Yes, and there was about 20 pages of inventory of furniture that had to remain.
That's an iconic home. It's a masterpiece.
So we were...
It's a waterfront.
Waterfront.
It's literally...
Yeah, it's about 4,500 square meters of land on the water. And it's heritage.
Yeah.
So it has to be maintained as it is. And it's not a new home. It was built in 1927. It's almost 100 years old. Yeah. But it's immaculate. It's been immaculately maintained ever since. And this is the end of our 10th year. And I actually just asked the buyer, can we have, because we want to have a 10-year party for our business.
Yes.
So can we have our party at Boomerang? We wanted to do it before it settled. And the vendor said no because of insurances, whatever it is. Anyway, long story short, the buyer, I think, will agree. So we're hoping to do that early next year. So
It's going to be the
we'll
last.
invite you and hopefully you'll get to see it.
Mate, I would love to be there. That's a spectacular home. Oh my God. Very rare.
Very rare. Yeah.
Wow. That's and did you get them signed or non-exclusive? What did you do?
So again, it was very different to most transactions.
Yeah.
So basically they've got a massive organization and they've got a property division and they sell properties and they've got their own agreements.
Right.
And so one day I get an email from their legal team with this agreement, literally spelling everything out word for word for word. And my agreement was just for this one buyer. So I had to give the name of the buyer to them and they actually specified in the agreement that this agreement is only for this one buyer or an entity associated with this buyer.
Good.
And then I sent it to my solicitor and my solicitor said, there's a lot of problems in this, Paul. Like, you're not really that covered. I said, I don't give a shit. It's Boomerang. I want to do it. So he's like, okay, just sign it then. Anyway, sure enough, everything worked out perfectly. And when we sell a property, the deposit is 90% of the time is held in our trust. And we know that on settlement, we'll just deduct our fee. And in this case, we were holding nothing. And so until the day we actually got paid, we didn't know. I mean, of course, we thought we would, but you just don't know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was a lot of hard work, but it was exciting, and obviously it's a very big deal for us. So
you took the risk.
Sale.
You didn't know if you're gonna get paid for it.
Correct.
Wow. That's great, Paul. Can't wait to come for if you invite me.
Of course.
I'll just show up. No, I'm joking. Mate, last 2-3 questions. I'll let you go. I know I'm taking even more time. So, you said you used to do martial arts.
Yeah.
Which one?
I started when I was 12.
Yeah.
I started Taekwondo.
Nice.
I actually, when I was 12, I watched The Karate Kid for the first time. And to this day, it's my favorite movie. And so when I watched that, I said, I want to do that. And of course, again, you know, there was no information. I looked through the yellow pages and white pages and asked them, and a friend of mine was doing Taekwondo at this local club. And so I started Taekwondo and I did that for 7 years, 12 till I stopped when I was 19.
Yeah.
And I had, the year that I started dating my wife, 17, I had a goal. I wanted to become black belt that year because I'd worked and worked and worked. And that we had a big grading and I got my black belt and it was great and that was wonderful. And then after that, I did boxing for about 5 years.
Nice.
Then I got married and then I did Kung Fu and Jiu-Jitsu for many years.
There you go.
Mostly Kung Fu. I was never a huge fan of Jiu-Jitsu. I was always better standing up.
Yeah.
When I got on the ground, I kind of got wrapped up like a pretzel and I'm like, what am I doing
That's
here?
what I do in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, okay. So
I
love it. I love it, but I'm more of a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
And now So I've always been into martial arts. And when my son was born, I had my daughter first, and she's a singer and a dancer, but I always wanted a boy.
Yeah.
I was never into the football or rugby. I always martial arts. And so when my son was 3 years old, I took him to karate, and he did that for a few years, and he never really enjoyed it. He didn't like the forms, the patterns.
Right. Yeah.
So then I took him to jiu-jitsu for a few years. Also, wasn't quite a big fan. And then during COVID, we were at Watson's Bay in the park, and there was a guy training someone boxing, PT. And my son said, oh, maybe I'll try boxing. And so I connected with that trainer. He's amazing, by the way. He's got a gym in Bondi Junction, and it's a huge business now. And my son started training boxing with him and hasn't stopped since, obsessed.
He likes it.
6 days a week, every single day after school, he takes the bus from school to Bondi Junction, trains, and on Saturdays we take him as well for sparring and whatever else. Actually, every Friday, so tonight, I train with him.
Nice.
So we do.
I really like boxing, actually. I like martial arts in general. Now I'm a jiu-jitsu practitioner for long.
Beautiful.
But a big fan of, I did kickboxing, comms and stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think martial arts is a great discipline, respect, education, especially for kids. Do you agree?
100%.
Do you have children older than mine?
100%. So you have a boy or a girl?
A girl.
Beautiful. So look, obviously kids have to do something, right? And they all have different passions, and we were kind of growing up, we didn't have many options. I swam, I was a swimmer when I was a kid, until I got to the point where I learned what martial arts was and decided that's what I want to do, and stopped the swimming and got into martial arts, and just pretty much did that the rest of my life. I only stopped a few years ago. But whatever the child wants to do, we kind of, even with my daughter, we let them both try whatever they want. So they've got the luxury now. Firstly, we know about things and what sports are available, what options are available, and we guide them, and we let them try different things, and then they kind of figure it out for themselves. So I knew I wanted my boy to do some sort of martial arts or fighting sport. And he tried karate, jiu-jitsu. It wasn't for him. Fell in love with boxing and doing it every day.
Nice.
And he's a great kid, and he has the discipline. And I just feel that certain sports teach people certain things, and martial arts, discipline.
That's what has done to me.
But the reality is, it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you put your heart and energy into it, you're going to be disciplined, as long as it's what you love.
Yeah. So what do? You introduce them to sports, and they naturally.
Correct.
Okay, good. That's a good tip. Sorry, one more question regards relationship.
Please.
How long have you been married?
Married in 2002. So married for 23 years.
Wow.
But we were together for 5 or 6 years before then.
Okay. So there's something that I personally admire. Not just a long-term career, but you've been able to build a family and stick with the same person for 20 plus years.
Yes.
And this is something that I highly admire, because all the stuff that you see now, like people get married 4, 5, 6 times, which I personally not a fan. Give me some advice.
Very hard. And I don't know if I'm the best person to ask, just because I've done it. But for me, we fell in love quite young and eventually got married after a certain number of years. And we kind of built our lives together. Everything we've done to this point has been a team effort. This isn't me doing real estate. Yes, of course, I'm the agent. But everything we do together. And even when I was starting out, I had all the support from my wife. Wasn't my wife at the time, very supportive. Yep, you do what you want to do. And we've just kind of grown and evolved together. I'm also very fortunate. My parents kind of gave us all the opportunities, but they didn't have much advice to give us because they hadn't done it. They had their own businesses, but nothing to do with real estate. And when I said to my parents, I want to do real estate, they just said, okay, cool. Like whatever you want to do, just go and do your best. But my wife has been there with me since day one, every single day. But the funny thing is, we live together, we work together, and we hardly speak. Not because we don't want to, but because
busy.
during the day, she's in the office, I'm out of the office.
Yeah.
At night, she's cooking dinner, looking after the kids. And by the time we get a chance to actually speak, it's 11 o'clock at night, you know? Yeah. So I'm fortunate in the sense that I've got the support, and I always have. And we've built whatever we've built together. Yeah. So it was always, everything's been a joint decision. When we decided to open the business, it was a discussion that we had at the time, and we both agreed, yep, this is the right time. And then when I saw that the business was kind of getting to a point where I needed her in order to scale and grow, again, we had the conversation. It was like, I know you've got a very successful career, you've done very, very well, but I believe if you come into the business, we can grow 10 times. Yeah. And so she sacrificed her career, joined our office, and she's been a huge part of our growth and everything that we do every day.
That's what I'm loving about this conversation, because I often see people, the first challenge, let's get someone else. Business is hard enough. Let's start another business. They keep moving and jumping ships over and over again for very long time. And they realize one day they're 55 or 60 years old, like, I've been doing all of this stuff. I'm good at nothing. I'm not trying to offend anyone here. What I love about this is through your relationship, you stick to it through the good time and the bad times, and you work it out. And through your business, you stick through the good times and the bad times and work it out. And that's what I highly admire, is becoming more harder to find people that actually stick into this. This is a great, great, great message. Thank you.
I always say to agents who like to move around, or people who like to move around, the grass is greener where you water it. Okay? And so I've had agents who have worked with me in the past, particularly in the younger days. I remember I had a guy who joined me. He was with me for about a year, and he started to build some traction. He started to get better. And I've got this policy. Once you're gone, you're gone, right? We don't take you back. Yeah. And at the time, we had a conjunction with another agent, very successful agent, and we sold this house together for $9 million back then. It was about 8 years ago. Yeah. And this guy who was working with me said, Paul, this other agent has offered me a job. It was a franchise, and it was pretty established business. And he goes, I think I'm going to go. And I said to him at the time, I said, exactly what I just said. The grass is greener where you water it, and it's not going to be different. You're going to become a success where you put your mind and effort and energy into. And he said, no, I got to try this. I said, okay, but you understand that we don't take people back? He said, yeah, I'm going to do this. 5 weeks. 5 weeks. He called me.
It was quick.
5 weeks. Paul, you were right. And he was in cars previously. And I said, I'm sorry. Like I told you, I tried to explain to you, like at the end of the day, people need to figure things out for themselves. Yeah. I can only guide and advise a certain amount, but it comes to a point where you need to kind of figure it out for yourself. And so 5 weeks, he called me, said, can I come back? I said, no, sorry. He went back to cars, and he's been selling cars ever since. Then I've got another guy on my team, Ben, who I think you know.
Yeah.
Ben texted me one day when he was 14 years old. 14. At school. And he said, Paul, I've been watching your stuff and I want to get into real estate, and can I come and spend Saturdays with you when you're at your open homes? I said, okay, sure, whatever. Kid, no hard, no problem. He's not going to get in my way.
Yeah.
He came that Saturday, and he came every Saturday until he finished school.
What a legend.
And while he was at school, the last couple of years, he used to sit at school in class in his front of his computer, and the teacher couldn't see what he was doing. And he was on realestate.com and domain.com and our website. And he used to text me leads from the classroom saying, Paul, chase this person. And I'm like, just do your schoolwork, we'll talk when you're ready. But sure enough, some of the leads actually came off. When he finished school, he joined me full time. And he said to me at the time, he goes, the award wage is rubbish in real estate, right? If you're in it for the award wage, you shouldn't be in real estate. Yeah. And we said to him, look, this is the award wage, plus this is your commission structure. And his response at the time was, oh, the award wage is very low. Like, I've got friends who are making 1.5, 2 times what you're offering me. And I said to him at the time, I said, like, you're kidding, right? Like, you know enough by now. You've been around long enough. You know what we sell and you know what's potential. And he said, but what if I don't? And I said, well, what if none of us do? You know, you got to try. And he said, stuff it. I'm going to put everything into it. And a lot of his friends took that year off, gap year. Yeah. He went straight into it. Well, he started working with me. The first year he worked with me full time. I think he did 3 or 4 sales, very average. He might have done, I don't know, 100,000, 150,000 in commissions. And at the Christmas party that year, I overheard him talking to another staff member saying, oh, this is so hard, you know. And I overheard and I said, just hang in there. Just keep doing what you're doing. This is a long game. Just hang in there. Sure enough, the following year, his business just went through the roof. Yeah. And he's about to turn 22 and he's making more money for himself than surgeons who have spent decades studying and at the top of their field.
Yeah, he's a legend. He is a special one. Do you see? Okay, let's use it. Do you think that comes as well? Of course, likely to find you to showing him the path, but the fact that he texts you when he was 14, that's come from parents.
Yes or no?
Really?
So, I mean, like, people ask me if I'm 2nd generation or 3rd generation real estate. I'm not. I'm whatever I've done, I've started from scratch. Yeah. And his parents are not in real estate as well. And it's him. He's just a driven individual who wants a lot out of life and he's passionate and he's just nothing's going to stand in his way. And he can be told to get lost and F off multiple times. He does not care. He will just call the next person like nothing happened.
Nice.
And the results, you know, the proof is in the results. That's right.
Mate, I love these stories. Mate, I'll promise another couple of questions, I'll let you go. All right, more you talk, more I want to know. Great stories, by the way. All right, so now people in the area, you sell a lot in Vaucluse and surroundings. They want to sell. They don't know. We talk about vendors. They're like, oh, Paul, should I wait in February? Oh, interest rates. Oh, what's going on? I believe you hear this every day.
Every day.
What's the tip if someone want to sell but doesn't know what's the right time? They're all waiting for the right time.
So I guess it all comes down to their motivation. So in a listing presentation and in appraisal, I ask a lot of questions. And the more questions I ask, the more information I gather, and I use that information in my dialogue and our conversation. And so ultimately it comes down to the person. So for example, if someone says, I want to sell my house, I want, $20 million. If I get 20 million, I'll sell. If I don't, I'm not selling. That particular vendor is purely price driven. And if I feel it's achievable, let's go. If I feel they're off the mark, then I'm going to tell them. I'm just going to say, look, I don't believe the market is at the level that you're hoping for now. We can try, but I can't make any promises. Then there are other people that genuinely want to make a move. Lifestyle, money, whatever it is. People get to a point where they want to make a move. And a lot of people kind of wait for market trends and market conditions in order to make that move, to put their home on the market, to buy the next property. But what they don't understand is they're losing a lot of time during that period. I've sold properties for older people in their 70s, 80s, 90s who are saying, we don't have to sell. Of course you don't have to sell, but what are you going to wait? You're going to wait for the next boom? You're probably not going to be here, right? So it all comes down to the person and the individual. If somebody wants to sell, of course we take into account the market trends and interest rates and all of that, what's going on. But at the end of the day, it comes down to their motivation. If they're planning to make a move and they're going to sell this home and buy something else, it's all relative. It doesn't matter what the market's doing. At the end of the day, the changeover is a lot more important than the sale price. Yeah. We sold a house recently for 14 million. The owners bought that home several years earlier for 14 million. But they sold it for 14 million because we helped them find something and buy something for 35.5, which really should have been about 45. And I said to them, the market for your home hasn't moved that much, And unfortunately, you're going to sell for the same as what you bought it for several years ago. And of course, it's your decision. I'm not here to make you do anything. However, given the fact that you're able to secure the next one for $5 to $10 million below where it should be, I think this move makes sense.
Yeah.
And they're like, holy shit, Paul, you're right.
Yeah.
We don't care about getting 15 or 16 for ours because we're saving that much on this end.
Yeah.
So it's all about the changeover for those people. But
Personal
everyone is
situation.
different. Then you got people who are like, I want X. If I don't get it, I won't sell it. That's fine. It's a different approach. If we've got buyers, we'll bring them through off market. And often we get lucky. Sometimes we sell properties for prices that we didn't think we would achieve.
Yeah.
So nothing's impossible. You need to put yourself in the best position, create every opportunity, and then assess every opportunity, because you don't want to be in a position where you got 10 vendors who are purely price driven and you're going to struggle to sell all of them. So, early on in your career, every lost opportunity, whether it's a listing that you lose to a competitor or a deal that falls over, I used to, feel sick every time. I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I in real estate? This is no good. I've just lost tens of thousands of dollars in commissions and the world's coming to an end, right? And so the way to overcome that is to have so much going on at any given time that if one drops, it's okay.
Volume.
You can't sell all of them. And, we're fortunate now. We've got a lot of stock at any given time. We've got a lot of projects that we're selling now. We've got a development business that we started recently, and we've sold multiple large development sites. And now we're getting the projects, the resales, and we've probably got $500 million in resales in apartments on at the moment that we're selling. So, I'm at a point now where if I lose a listing or if a sale falls through, it's okay. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Real estate's a roller coaster, and I often say you can have the best day of your life and the worst day of your life in a single day. You work so hard, you get to a point, you wake up in the morning, today's the day. We're going to sell this house, we're going to sell it for, $10 million and everything's great. And then by lunchtime, the buyer rings you, says, Paul, changed my mind. Or the vendor rings me and says, you know what, I decided not to sell.
Yeah.
And you just want to go to the Gap and jump off and, But then the next day, we often will lose a listing and someone from my team would say to me, oh, that should have been ours.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure, we've spent years servicing these people. We've done the right things. We've made the calls. We've kept in touch with them. And all of a sudden, you drive past and there's a competitor's board out the front. You can't win everything. But then on the flip side, I've been called into places. I've gone in there. I've listed it on the spot. Beautiful, significant homes. And I'll get a call from another agent saying, Paul, what the hell? I've been chasing these people for 10 years. You don't know. You just got to be everywhere, create as many opportunities as you can.
At all times.
And always do your best. Do your best by your vendor. Your vendor is the one for us. For you, it's the buyer, obviously.
Yeah.
For us, it's the vendor. So to us, we never lose sight of the fact that we represent the vendor. We work well with buyers. We had a great transaction recently. But our focus is we need to protect our vendors. We need to do the right thing by them. At the end of the day, they're the ones who employ us, and they're the ones that are going to spread the word when we do a good job for them.
I like that. Next one, tip for buyers. They come in, I don't know, cost, the value, the thing. And often buyers, they get intimidated. Yes, of course, get someone like me in your corner. But what's the tip that you would give to a buyer want to buy in Vaucluse, Bellevue Hill and surroundings, and they don't know how to negotiate or understand the value, and maybe they see someone like you, they feel uncomfortable because they see these beautiful, good-looking men, but I feel uncomfortable to speak with you. Well, what's the tip that you would give to the buyer to say, buy now if you like it, or wait? Because it's 10 things from a buyer point of view. They're like, oh, should I wait? Should I buy now? What's the tip for them?
Tip number 1, call Perry.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Tip number 2, do your research. At the end of the day, get an understanding of where you want to be, what type of property you want to buy, and go and look around and get market knowledge. Understand what things are trading for and get a rough idea of values in the area. a lot of the buyers that we deal with have a better understanding of values than we do, because they've seen everything. They've been to every single home. So if we're selling a home in Bellevue Hill, for example, they've seen every single one of them that's on the market. We haven't. We've seen some of them. We've seen our listings. We've seen a couple of the others. We haven't seen all of them, but the buyers have. They've seen them all. And they'll formulate in their minds an opinion of value. So, for example, something similar might have sold for 14 million, something a little bit better might have sold for 16 million, and in their minds, this home's worth, call it 15 million. In terms of the buyer and our communication and negotiations with the buyer, we try and make the process as easy as possible. And I believe that one of my biggest skill sets is having been doing this for so many years, having done so many transactions, being involved in so many different circumstances, I've kind of seen it all. Of course, there's new things that are happening every day, but we know how to handle and navigate a situation. We're not buyer's agents, but very often a client will call me and say, Paul, I want to buy this home.
Yeah.
I will help them secure the home. I will essentially do your job, but I don't charge for it. And people often say, oh, we'll pay you. No, I believe in karma.
Yeah.
We do the right thing. When you want to sell the home, you call me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not a big fan of referral fees. You know, people offer us I don't care about referral fees. If I refer you someone, just look after that person. Do the right thing by them. Then when it comes to them selling, they'll call me. And hopefully, if you have an opportunity to refer back to us, greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I'm not interested in a quick dollar here and there, because it's not sustainable. It's not what's going to build your career and your profile. And so having been through so many situations and circumstances and knowing how to navigate certain things, I can assist buyers. For example, we sold a property recently, and the buyer had certain circumstances that was preventing her from buying a property in Sydney. And she called me and she goes, Paul, I can't do it. My solicitor just said I can't do it. I said, why? And she said, because I haven't been in the country for this many days, number of days. And I had done a similar transaction recently.
Yeah.
And I knew the process. And I said, okay, call your solicitor and suggest option A, option B, option C. She calls me back. She goes, Paul, holy shit, like I've got options. I said, of course you do. I know. I've done this. And so that comes with practice and with time. And so I'm no lawyer, but I've seen enough contracts, I've read enough contracts to understand a general overview of what's involved, what can be done, what can't be done, and how to structure certain deals. Whereas other agents, vendors, buyers, solicitors might not have been able to put that particular deal together, we can. Not always, but we've done it so many times where someone is stuck. It's either the buyer can't do something for whatever reason, the vendor can't sell for whatever reason. It's got to be done after the next financial year, whatever it might be. I've been there, I've done it multiple times. I know how to handle almost every situation.
Yeah.
And that just comes with practice.
Yeah, listen to professionals. Actually, this happened to me recently. A client was looking for 6 months. She called me, all right, Perry, I need to help me out. I bought for her after 5 weeks. It's not because look at me how cool I am. So in these 5 weeks, we missed 2 properties. And the reason is because she was not listening to me. And I said, listen up. But not because, oh, look at me. You hire me for a reason.
That's right.
If you keep doing what you always done, don't expect it for results. And you can't do waste money on me. Do you know what I mean? So we missed this property. This is going to happen again. That's the conversation I had. But I need you now to trust me. I'm your bias. She was a bit of in the overall real estate, like, not just real bias. Yeah. Oh, I've done. I understand it. But I need you to listen to me because this is going to happen again. Next time we are prepared. Okay, all good. And we bought it. So what I'm trying to say is that's all we do every day. So naturally, when you do transactions daily as a full-time gig, you know how to get good at it.
100%.
So if you hire a professional, listen to a professional.
But at the same time, we often take for granted that we do this every day, but our clients don't.
Yeah.
And so we need to build the confidence and trust in them that this is equally as important to us as it is to them. And, us selling your home, this is a big thing for us.
Yeah.
If this is life-changing for you, we understand. We don't take it for granted. We're going to do everything we can to help you, and we're going to do our best for you. And if they feel like you're on their side and you listen to them and you've got their genuine interest at heart, then they'll trust you.
That's a good point, because often when you do quite a bit of volume, you kind of
You lose.
you lose the touch.
That's right.
You lose, that understanding and try to be in the client's shoes.
And look, at the end of the day, yes, we're real estate professionals. We go into a home. To us, this is an opportunity. This is a deal. This is a business transaction.
Yeah.
But to them, it's their livelihood.
Yeah.
And so what goes on in our minds versus what we say to the client are often very different. And we need to make them feel and believe that we're in this journey together, which we are. Of course, it's our business. To them, it's their home. It's a little bit different, but we genuinely do everything we can to protect our vendors, to look after them, to make them feel like they're our only clients and get them the best results. And when we get to the point where we present them with an offer and we say to them, this is genuinely the best that we can get, they'll listen.
Yeah. Paul, thank you so much for
Thank
this.
you.
I promised you 45 minutes. We just done over an hour. Sorry, man.
Really? I haven't even...
Oh, man. Hopefully I didn't ruin your day.
Not at all. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
If someone want to contact you, you just type in Paul Biller on Google, come up. But any way they can reach you, email, text, vendors, buyers, someone to work for you, where they can find you.
So I genuinely am one of the most accessible people on earth. And if someone says they tried to contact me and couldn't, it's rubbish.
You probably
I
have
return all my calls and I'm very easy to find. Unless I'm in a listing presentation or an appraisal, I'm on my phone 24/7. I'm responding to messages all day long. So how do people find me? As you said, Google my name. Website is biller.com.au. All my contact details are there. Call, text, WhatsApp, email, whatever.
Paul, thank you so much for doing this.
you.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you very much.
This is general advice and does not take into account your objectives, situations, or needs. You should consider if this advice is suitable to you and your personal circumstances. Please read any applicable PDS beforehand.